Hey everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Berklee Music Open House series. My name is Doug, and I'm a student advisor here at Berklee Music. And today I have the privilege of being joined by Mr. Mike Williams, whom you just heard play us in. Mike is a professor of guitar at the Berklee College of Music here in Boston, and he has taught blues and jazz guitar here since 1987. He's performed with the likes of James Cotton, Mighty Sam McClain, David Fathead Newman, the Bruce Katz Band, as well as his own band, Michael Williams and Friends. Mike, thanks so much for being here today.
I'm very happy to be here, Doug. Thanks.
Glad you could be here. So I feel like let's dive right in here. I feel like a big part of playing the blues is really being in the pocket. You had some really cool rhythmic stuff going on in that opening tune. Do you have any tips for aspiring players to help find that pocket and really groove in it?
I do. You know, it's so important when you're playing blues to be really focused and really clear with your rhythm parts. And that's what we refer to as playing in the pocket. That's where every musician, including bass, drums, guitar, keyboard, whoever's in the band, you know, takes their, adds their component to the band while leaving room for the other musicians. And that is so important because in some of the lower level ensembles, for instance, at Berklee or whatever, wherever I see players that aren't as experienced, perhaps, you'll see people playing like, playing too much and playing over their space, basically. I think of it as sonic airspace, basically. So I've got to leave room for the people next to me. That's very important. And so that, I think part of that is learning how to edit, you know, and knowing it's just as important to know what not to play as to what to play. A few things that come to mind if I was going to talk in just a very short period of time about playing the groove. One of the real important elements when you're playing blues, jazz, funk, or any style such as that would be playing with the backbeat and learning how to lock in and focus and really groove along with the backbeat. So as a musician and a guitar player and the bass and everybody kind of zeroes in on those backbeats. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to demonstrate that for a second. If I can get a click going here, turn down the reverb just a little bit on this since it's a little obnoxious. Now I'm going to take you through a shuffle and then say a jazz groove and then a funk groove, all at this same tempo. And these clicks represent the backbeats on 2 and 4. So this would be, if I was going to count that in, it'd be 1. Let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So let me get a sound happening here on the guitar, and I'm going to do that now. Here's a shuffle to begin with. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jazz groove, same tempo, 1, 2, 3. This is B-flat blues with more 2/5s in the changes and such, but still locked in with that backbeat. That had the 2/5 turnaround and such on it, okay? But again, way different than that shuffle in E, but still those backbeats are just as essential, okay? Now I'm going to take into a little bit of funk, and I'm going to do this in E, okay? And this is like maybe a little bit toward the James Brown thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. in all three of those styles, those backbeats are just really pretty essential. So if you're going to be working on your groove and you want to work on your tempo and really locking in, working on your time, which is essential, do practice with the backbeats, okay? It takes a little getting used to, but it's very important, again, okay? Now, a couple things I'd like to talk about, if I could show you a few classic rhythm parts that kind of play the pocket. I've got a few grooves in mind, just with the few minutes that we have. One would be in the style of Junior Willson, Buddy Guy, for example. This is called like the uptown and the downtown shuffle. You've got this variation here of an uptown. Uptown starts. What I'm doing is 1, 5, flat 7, 1. Okay, now I'm in the key of B right now, because I'm going to be demonstrating that with a play-along track in a second, so I'll just do it in the same key for now. That's called an uptown, where you're moving up from the root, okay? And there's variation. There's different variations to that, okay? We also have a downtown shuffle, which starts with an octave, then it goes down, flat 7, 5, 1, 1, flat 7, 5, 1. Now, you can hear these kind of progressions all over the place in music, and Junior Will's Buddy Guy, the Chicago blues thing, you know, recorded a lot of tunes with that. One tune that I was thinking of that's very cool that was recorded on a recent concert, fairly recent, the Crossroads video. Sue Tedeschi and Derek Trucks did a version of the Uptown Shuffle on the tune Little by Little, and that was, it's a really killing take, so if you haven't seen that, you might want to check that out. But that's, so you know a little bit about terminology, uptown, downtown grooves. Now, often the bass part will be playing that pattern, and the guitar player can double that. So that's pretty typical. Now, if you've got two guitar players, or you maybe perhaps the rhythm guitar player wants to jump onto another thing, other parts work with that real well are what we call the sliding ninth parts. Now, if I was in the key of B, I'd be centering this around a B9 chord. This voicing here, it's a D sharp, A, C sharp, and F sharp. Okay, and the top three notes of that form an F sharp minor triad. Now I'm going to slide that up to G sharp minor, and you can hear this sound. That's used all over R&B and jazz and blues. It's been there for a long time in pop. And I'm going to demonstrate this part. And now these sliding ninths, I'll start by playing something very simple and very clear, just up on, this works really well to slide up on 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. Slide up and then down, back down. Actually, I'm pulling it back down without even picking. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 4, 1. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the 4 chord, the E9. I'm going to take the top 3 notes, which is the B minor triad, and slide it up to C sharp minor and back to B minor. 1, 4, 1. 5 chord, I'm going to take the F sharp 9 and slide. Okay, so that's a sliding ninth. So I'm going to play along with a play-along track. I'm going to do 3 choruses. The first chorus, I'm going to double the bass. Okay, this is a fabulous Thunderbird song. That's Jimmy Vaughn and Kim Willson and band, and really great band in blues, in the history of blues. And this is them from the late 70s. A tune called Wait on Time. So it's a play-along track that I did with a book for Berklee Press a while back, and there's some great play-along tracks in that if you're looking for something to jam along with. It's called the Berklee Blues Songbook. Quick shameless plug by Mike Williams there. Basically, I'm going to double the bass line 1 chorus, then I'm going to play sliding chords, the sliding ninths, one chorus, and then I'm going to loosen that up and vary that a little bit for the three choruses, okay? But I'm still going to be try to be really clear and really focused with what I'm doing when I'm doing these rhythm parts, okay? So let me take that, 3 choruses with that, okay? Here we go. It's a downtown part. Can you bring that up a little bit? Thank you. That's cool. Now the sliding chords. That's a little bit about the a couple of rhythm parts, the downtown, the uptown, and some sliding ninths. So many rhythm parts to learn, so little time.
So another big element of the blues is having you know, kind of a call and response thing going on, making your playing conversational, if you will. Could you tell us a bit more about that? You know, how you can really approach that and how it really factors in?
That's so important to me. You know, when I listen to the blues players that I really love, that I consider to be, you know, the real blues players, they're speaking. It's almost like they're creating a lyric through their solos, and breathing, leaving room. And it's not always about how many notes we play. In fact, it's really not about that. It's more about how to, you know, convey the feeling that you're trying to get across, tell a story, and we're speaking a language here. And I think the language of the blues, some well-timed pauses, can help you get the point across. It can help people to want to, you know, listen to what you've got to say next. And so I try to remember to do that in my playing. And I listen for that quality. I hear that in the quality in the great players like B.B. King and Albert Collins, who I was playing, that opening track was in the Albert Collins style a little bit. And I was trying to do some call and response with the horns in the beginning of that. I don't know if people caught that or not, but there's this little rhythmic figure the guitar was doing. That's kind of comping in the style of Albert Collins anyway. But I was answering back and forth with the horns, and Albert Collins was really great at that, creating a conversation through the changes. So that's something to be listening for and striving for in your solos, is to try to create a lyric. Because to me, when I'm playing a solo, I'm trying to match the soul and the intensity of a great singer. That's because, I mean, if you look at my favorite singers in the soul kind of genre, like James Carr or O.V. Wright or you know, Aretha, Ray Charles, to me, every one of them, the silences between the notes are just as important as the notes that they play. So I'm going to show you an exercise that I like to play. And this is over a slow blues. Now this happens to be a play-along track, also from the book that I did a while back. And this is over a Freddie King slow blues tune called Sad Night Owl. I'm going to play 3 choruses, and I'm going to try to create a lyric like this. You've got the blues is set up with 3 lines. You know, like woke up this morning, look around for my shoes. And then you answer that. Woke up this morning, look around for my shoes. And then to finish that verse off, you know I had them mean old walking blues, okay? I'm just using that as an example, but it could be whatever you're singing. But basically the phrases connect. They're not unrelated, and they're not just about playing a bunch of fast things and cool things. You try to tell a story and create a thread that runs through the solo. So I'm going to start real simple, leave lots of room, and then I'm going to build it just a little bit. Try to play a little bit more of the second chorus, and maybe a little bit more after that, the third chorus, to try to build it. And I'm going to try to remember to say a few of these things as I'm doing it. It's difficult to talk out loud when I'm doing this, but I'll try to remember to say a few things as I'm doing it, okay? Let's just check my tuning real quick. This is so important, I'm going to tune up for it. Kidding. Okay, let's see. So let me take a shot at this, okay? And again, I don't feel like I need to start my solo right at the beginning of this track. I can leave some space, because I'm going to be leaving room to breathe, and I'm doing this intentionally. Because when you start sparse, it actually gives you room to build, okay? So think about your solos, think about pacing them, think about your activity. Have a rough idea in mind for where you want to take your solo. Now, if you deter from that, fine, not a problem. But you want to, I find it very helpful to go into a solo kind of with a roadmap of a general idea what I want to do. If I go somewhere else, not a problem. But you go with it if you get the feeling, you know. But it's always good to start with an idea. So, okay? So let's take that. Take a little breath. Finish that idea off. That concept of phrasing, you know, I've been working at that a long time, and I sincerely feel it's a lifetime study for me and for any musician that is trying to get it right. And in the blues, again, do listen actively to your favorite players. And again, I'm going to refer to the players like B.B. King, who play so vocally. I've learned so much about leaving room for breathing and breaths, and you know, what not to play as well as what to play by listening to the likes of B.B. King. So be taking from everybody, such as the greats, Albert Collins, B.B. King, Albert King, Muddy Waters, whoever your favorite players are. But it's hard to find a player out there that speaks more vocally than B.B. King, to me, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, well, we've got some really great questions coming in, so I think we're going to go ahead and open it up if you're ready for some
Sounds good to me.
Cool. All right, so we do have a question from Mark that actually kind of corresponds to what we were just going over. You know, aside from listening to some of your favorite players, what are some other ways that you can really practice patience in your phrasing?
Practice patience. Okay, that's a good question. Well, one thing, you know, I was referring to this, the vocal quality. One thing that's really great to do when you solo is to sing what you're soloing. Okay, I'm not suggesting that you get hooked on doing that when you play, but try matching lines that you're hearing in your head, in your ear, and vocally on the guitar. Because that way, I feel it's important. Too many times we guitar players, I refer to this as letting my fingers do the thinking for me. And that's not really what the blues is about. The blues is about playing, you know, more from the heart and from the soul. So, you know, what I suggest you do is sing phrases as you play. It takes simple things, and I know, be warned, I'm not a great singer, okay? But I mean, you know, trying to come up between my lines. So, if you sing what you're doing, it's going to make you slow down a little bit and play a little bit more deliberately, and a little bit, leaving a little bit more room. And it's also going to force you to take breaths between your phrases. As a guitar player, you know, we could technically sit here and just play on and on and on without even taking a breath, because I can breathe while I play. But I was reminded by a trumpet player many, many years ago, studying jazz at the time, you know, that, hey, remember to take breaths. Man, I'm a trumpet player. I've got to breathe between my phrases. And I've definitely adopted that into the guitar. That really stuck with me. That resonated. So that's one way of showing more patience, is to make sure you're singing and breathing between your lines. Okay, that's one thing I could suggest. Very cool. Very cool. Got a question coming from Wallman. He wants to know what the latest thing is that you've learned on guitar. He likes the idea of learning something every day. What's the latest concept you've been working on? Okay. Well, you know, I was just working on a Magic Sam intro just a few days ago, because for one thing, I was thinking about how I could tie some things in with my my little presentation today, and I was sitting around noodling through an intro by the great guitarist Magic Sam, who I'm not sure. Some of you, if you're way into blues, you would know about him, but I'm sure that many of the people here don't know about him. But I'd have to say that would be the most recent thing. And that's an interesting question, because I'm going to just go here for a second. Stevie Ray's short version of that, okay, just for now. But his Cold Shot, that little groove that he played on that tune is really coming from a Magic Sam thing. And I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of that right now. It's very similar chordally. Actually, Magic Sam did that in B minor. Goes on and on and on. And I'm kind of playing slightly different fills during the thing, but you get the idea rhythmically and chordally speaking that there's a connection between the things that Stevie Ray would be playing and some of the players that came before him. But I'd have to say, what's the most recent thing I was working on was kind of taking that back out, because I learned that many years ago, and I like to come back to these things, you know. So I keep learning from the great players, taking little pieces from a lot of people. I believe that it's important to I have no problem stealing from everybody, steal from everybody. And I mean by that, I mean tenor sax players, alto sax players, piano players, guitar players, drummers, bass players, whatever you can take something from. If you steal from everybody, this is a saying that I learned many years ago and it stayed with me. Steal from everybody. If you steal from one person, it's plagiarism. Steal from everybody, it's called research. And that's the language of the blues. So I want to recommend that you do take phrases, because I do come across people sometimes that say, oh, I don't want to learn that. I never learned solos note for note and such. And to me, learning a little bit of a solo note for note, that's a means, it's not an end. You start by learning that solo note for note, and then you spend about 5 times as much time as that changing that around and making it your own. But do learn it note for note first. I think it's really important to get it right and then go from there, okay? Didn't mean to go off on the question.
No, absolutely. That was great. That was really good. Got another one here from Mickey. He wants to know, what are some good passing chords to use through changes to kind of add some variety?
Okay. Well, you know, to me that varies so much depending on the style of the song I'm playing, you know? Because when I was doing a shuffle, you know, they're in E. I mean, that was 1-4-5, you know. But if we're playing like a blues, like a jazz blues or a jump thing, you've got more passing chords, all kinds of passing chords you can work through that, you know. So if I was doing a tune like that, this is in B flat. I might go to E diminished there, E diminished as a passing, connecting the 4, the sharp 4, and the 1 chord. Now, 3. So what I'm doing here basically is throwing a lot of passing chords in there, you know, taking the basic blues progression that was in B flat, the 1, the 4, the E9 chord, and this would be probably a 2-5 turnaround. But I can take chromatic approaches, go chromatic into the 5, go chromatic back to the 1, G7, also using a B9 chord to approach the B flat. So, you know, the topic of passing chords, it's huge. Another thing I did just for a second to talk about that, let's see. You can after you go 1, 4, I'm going F minor 9, E9 to approach the E flat 9 chord. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, flat 3, 2. Okay, that's a very typical kind of jazz blues, been used all the way back to the days of Charlie Parker and probably perhaps even a little bit before that. But definitely Charlie Parker. So when you start talking about passing chords, it's such a big topic. And I would love to talk about it, but I could easily spend more than a half an hour on that one subject by itself. I would suggest anybody that's interested in that, spend some time checking out some of the great you know, jazz books that are out there. And I know we've got a jazz online class, jazz guitar, and Bruce Saunders probably goes into that in great detail. The last 2 lessons of this class, we deal with jazz guitar also, jazz blues, and that has some passing chords in it as well. I mean, that's my online class at Berklee.
Very cool. So I think we have time for one more question. And this one comes from Marco. Now this might be a tough question. I know it can be hard to narrow these things down, but he says he wants to know 3 blues records that are must-have, and he also adds "Ciao" from Your Italian Student from the year 2000.
Marco! Great to see you, Marco. Well, I wish I could see you. Drop me an email one of these days, by the way, okay? Must-have blues records. Okay, there are so many of them. I'm going to refer to one which I referred to earlier. I was talking about Magic Sam, West Side Soul. That's a really great electric blues record, Magic Sam. Another of my personal favorites, B.B. King, Blues is King. Okay, live record, Blues is King. Now, on that subject, you could also throw in Live at the Regal. I'm just going to call that's your bonus CD, okay? So I'm gonna mention 4. But in the BB, I'd say Live at the Regal or Blues is King. And there's so many other for the other one. I love T-Bone Walker's T-Bone Blues. That's a great record. I don't know where to begin. Muddy Waters, Real Folk Blues. Earl Hooker, Two Bugs and a Roach. That's the tough question. I really can't answer that third one very well. I love some. Freddie King's Just Picking. That's a 2-record set of all instrumental guitar, and that's kind of essential for blues guitar. And that's one of the tunes. Maybe when this is all said and done, I might play a little bit of one of Freddie's tunes. One of those instrumentals on that record, Just Picking. So,
very cool. Well, that is all the time that we have for today. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and a very, very special thank you to Mr. Mike Williams here. Thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here, Dan. Thank you.
So if you guys have any questions at all about Mike's blues guitar course or any of our other courses or certificate programs, please give us a call at 1-866-BERKLEY. Any one of the advisors would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So yeah, give us a call, 1-866-BERKLEY. Mike, thanks again so much.
My pleasure.
Do you care if you play us out?
Hey, I'll play it out.
All right, let's do it.
Short one, do a quick one.